Tonight we're fact-checking claims from Brittney's livestream about the Sebastian Rogers case. The goal isn't drama, it's accuracy. For each claim, you'll see the original clip, followed by verified context or a clear note that the claim isn't supported by public records. Please don't contact or harass anyone shown here. If you have credible info, send it to the authorities.
To the neighbor's house. And specifically to the playscape that they had. I guess they had a playground or like a little playscape, swing set, slide. I don't know. But the sniff dogs went to that area first. The canines went to that area first. If I remember correctly, he said this was in between the house of Bobby and their teens and in between 3 Muslim women who lived in the house next to them. So the canines pick up the scent, they go into the playscape, and then they take it from there. They go across the street to the creek. In the first video on the ground, you see that sort of shack there, the barn there, where it says Shackle Island. That behind there is the creek. He then says that the canines continue the scent down the creek at some point, and I don't know where, but it's somewhere between the creek and Old Hickory Dam, which is why I showed it. It switches off to cadaver dogs. Cadaver dogs led to the dam. Now, I had a whole lot of questions for ChatGPT because I don't know if someone drowned 6 months ago, if cadaver dogs are going to pick up on that scent or not. I'm not.
This is something that I'm going to rely on law enforcement. Ken Widener. Remember what Ken Widener said. Wilder, I can't remember exactly his last name. There was no scent of Sebastian picked up and followed. That come from law enforcement. There was no scent. The dogs were not on any scent that belonged to Sebastian that day. I played that so many times. Proudfoot has I don't know why or what, but Proudfoot is the only one who has maintained that those dogs followed a scent. The police said no. There were no dogs that were on Sebastian's trail. None. And they had 13 to 18 dogs. 13 to 18. Proudfoot is the only one that maintains that those dogs picked up a scent. Why? Chris has always been trying to make it seem like there's a scent, in my opinion, to cover their tracks. Now he says cadaver dogs followed a scent. But it's always been to the retaining pond. That's what he's always said. Now he's gave like to the playground by Bobby's house, which we know we had creators a few months ago like blaming Bobby for all this. What was her name? What was her name, y'all? Crimson Tide, hellbent on Bobby. Let me go back and play that again. That's crazy.
Don't know where, but it's somewhere between the creek and Old Hickory Dam, which is why I showed it.
Oh, wait a minute.
It switches off to cadaver dog. 3 Muslim women who lived in the house next to them. So the canines pick up the scent, they go into the playscape, and then they take it from there. They go across the street. Canines in their teens. If I remember correctly, he said this was in between the house of Bobby and their teens and in between 3 Muslim women who lived in the house next to them. So the canines pick up the scent, they go into the playscape, and then they take it from there. They go across the street to the creek. In the first video on the ground, you see that sort of shack there, the barn there, where it says Shackle Island. That behind there is the creek. He then says that the canines continue the scent down the creek at some point, and I don't know where, but it's somewhere between the creek and Old Hickory Dam, which is why I showed it. It switches off to cadaver dogs. Cadaver dogs led to the dam, he disclosed. So again, the canines that picked up his scent went across the street first in between the 3 Muslim ladies' house. and Bobby's house with the teenagers. It then took them to the creek across the street, and then dogs, both canines and cadaver dogs, then followed it and stopped at Old Hickory Dam. So I thought that was interesting for a lot of reasons. I've worked water cases before, Connecticut, Riley Stream in Tennessee. Usually the dam is the most interesting area for a deceased person because they're going to get hung up there. Now, what's interesting is that he told me that the water was exceptionally high at this time of the year. And when it happened, I think if I remember, he said 10 to 12 feet higher than normal. It doesn't sound like they were able to reduce the water levels to properly check the dam. So said that there's contention between Sumner County and TBI. Sumner County
between Sumner
believes that,
and TBI.
And we'll just summarize, but they believe, Sebastian ran away, slipped on a rock and drowned and died. Whereas TBI doesn't believe that. They believe a different scenario here. So I'll let you guys process that, and I'm going to let you take the mic for a second.
Law enforcement statements available to the public say search dogs did not establish a Sebastian scent trail. There's no confirmed cadaver dog to the dam track. Treat this as unverified.
So they confiscated 3 cameras that were added in the home after Sebastian went missing, which was interesting to me. One of those cameras was placed in Chris Proudfoot's daughter's room. I believe she's 8 years old. Police confiscated those cameras with the search warrant that was executed. I don't know what evidence led them to obtain a search warrant from a judge. We know that's sealed now. Okay. Which part do you need repeated? I'm going to put the link in for Brianna. So let me just get the link for Brianna here, guys. If you want her to join. Okay. So police executed a search warrant 1 year after Sebastian went missing at the residence. They confiscated electronics. They confiscated 3 cameras that were added after Sebastian went missing. So 3 cameras were added inside the home after he went missing, and police felt the need and had a warrant to seize those devices. One of those cameras was inside the daughter's room. I don't know. I sort of ran this by Eva when we were talking and said, is that normal? Is it not normal? It depends on your parenting style. So I don't want to judge that, right? Some parents want to keep an eye on their kids, and I will read you the tweet. Hopefully, if it gets choppy again, let me know. This is a new setup. But roughly 1 year after Sebastian Rogers went missing, law enforcement descended on his residence and executed a search warrant. This is 1 year after he went missing, seizing multiple electronic devices, including 3 cameras that had been installed after his disappearance. That was the information that he was
Wait a minute. Hold on.
And did not want. They descended on his residence and executed a search. This is a new setup. But roughly 1 year after Sebastian Rogers went missing, law enforcement descended on his residence and executed a search warrant. This is 1 year after he went missing, seizing multiple electronic devices, including 3 cameras that had been installed after his disappearance. That was the information that he was.
There's no public documentation or official statement confirming this warrant or the camera seizures. It may be true, but as of now it remains unconfirmed and should be labeled as such on screen.
In which he himself disclosed to law enforcement and said, look, I don't know how to answer this. And the question was related to, have you ever lied to authorities or police in the past? And he sort of got caught up with that and explained to them that perhaps he did. Maybe it was when he was younger, but there was an anomaly there, I believe.
Public interviews after the disappearance indicated CP had not taken a polygraph. There's no later public record confirming he did. Treat Anomaly talk as unverified.
Teenagers jealous of Sebastian. Was he, perhaps talking to this girl, this older girl that was guiding him down the hall when she wasn't supposed to? And in between the 2nd and 25th, more stuff happened while Chris was gone. I don't know, but putting the information out there, I feel is important. So I'm going to stop for a second. I'm going to go to chat because I have not looked at it since running out to the car and switching out the Mac for the PC. So Nikki Jax is not Bobby's kids. Let's get clarity here on whose kids. Bobby's name kept coming up, but I was assuming they were Bobby's kids. Do you know who they are, Brianna? Whose kids, whose teenagers that he played flashlight tag with? I think she disappeared from the Zoom. Bobby's boys are homeschooled. They were home all day. I don't know that matters if he was playing flashlight tag. He didn't play flashlight tag. So why would Chris Proudfoot say that was something they did? So I asked about the lights. Chris Proudfoot said 300% the lights. I don't care what others say. Chris said that the lights the first pair of lights were from a neighbor that were bringing the trash down. Someone here is saying that they didn't play flashlight tag. I don't know how you know that, but again, I'm just relaying what Chris said. So Bobby said her kids played flashlight tag. Said her kids played flashlight tag. And Chris is saying that, Sebastian, relevant piece of information for me. How did law enforcement know there were 3 cameras in the home after? Because they executed a search warrant, Marley. 1 year after Sebastian went missing, they executed a search warrant at the home. And we don't know what the judge authorized them to take, but we know that Chris said that 3 cameras were taken, 3 cameras that were added after Sebastian went missing. So I don't know about Bobby's kids. I don't know about which teenagers, but again, I said it clearly. It seemed conflicting, right? He said Sebastian couldn't make friends, didn't have friends. And I remember talking about it because I said, hey, Eva's kid is autistic. And I asked him if he's made any friends at school. And he said, no, sort of similar behavioral health issues. So I remember him saying it, but I also remember saying that Sebastian liked to play flashlight tag. I'm assuming Sebastian wasn't playing flashlight tag by himself, right? So I'm assuming that he played with the kids in the neighborhood.
Authorities have reported no confirmed sightings of Sebastian that night. Flashlight tag that night is not verified.
Basically the way Chris presented it was they all handed over their phones willingly, all 3, right? Katie, Chris, and Seth. He said that his phone took the least amount of time, meaning Chris's, to image. So if people don't know what occurs during this process, police will tie a device into the phone and take a backup of it, right? They don't have to take the physical phone. I think Chris said something like 7 hours. I could be wrong, 8 hours. Katie's took like 10 maybe. It was in the middle. And then Seth's phone took the longest. Now,
in my opinion, this guy that's talking has been hoodwinked by CP, and he's been paid off to say all of this. Shirley, I don't know, but I can tell you I'm not buying that he just, met up with Nerdy. And
investigators haven't released device imaging durations. Longer imaging can be storage size, phone type, or settings. Drawing suspicion from this is unsupported.
He also said that there's contention between Sumner County and TBI. Sumner County believes that, we'll just summarize, but they believe, Sebastian ran away, slipped on a rock, and drowned and died. Whereas TBI doesn't believe that. They believe a different scenario here. So,
What? Oh my God. Let me play that again. Poor Seth, man. Do you know what this has got to do to Seth? Like, for Seth to hear this? Jeez. Oh, Old Hickory Dam is like 7 miles away from their house from what I saw when I looked it up. This whole theory CP told him is ridiculous. Why? Why is he doing this? I don't get it.
Also said that there's contention between Sumner County and TBI. Sumner County
between Sumner
believes
and
that
TBI.
We'll just summarize, but they believe Sebastian ran away, slipped on a rock, and drowned and died. Whereas TBI doesn't believe that. They believe a different scenario here. So there's 2 different agencies, well, multiple agencies. The FBI is here too. So, but Sumner County, he said, believes that Sebastian had an accident. Right? They believe that Sebastian maybe walked away, slipped on a rock, hit his head, and drowned.
Why would Sumner not tell Seth that?
Public statements frame a joint, ongoing investigation. No official, on-record split of theories has been announced. Treat agency divide as unsubstantiated. Claims can travel fast, confirmations rarely do. In this compilation, several statements were presented as facts but either lack public documentation or conflict with what's been formally stated. If new documents surface, we'll update. Until then, label unverified claims as unverified and keep attention where it belongs, on bringing Sebastian home. If you have credible information, contact the investigating agencies, not creators online.